When modern gamers hear the name Flappy, their minds immediately race to the viral physics-based mobile frustration of Flappy Bird. However, retro enthusiasts know that nearly 3 decades before Dong Wen's creation took over smartphones, a tiny, yellow, long-nosed creature named Flappy was already breaking brains on the Nintendo Famicom. Released in Japan in 1985 by DB Soft and later ported to the Game Boy and various Japanese home computers, Flappy is a grid-based puzzle game that represents both the incredible ingenuity and the grueling, uncompromising design philosophy of early 8-bit gaming. At its core, Flappy is a hybrid mutant of Sokoban, Boxel, and Boulder Dash. It strips away the twitch reflex demands of platformers and replaces them with a hyper-methodical, slow-paced test of spatial awareness. While it shines as a testament to clever early game design, it is deeply held back by severe pacing issues, a lack of mechanical evolution, and an overwhelming sense of repetition. The premise of Flappy is deceptively simple. You control the titular character from a top-down perspective, navigating a single-screen room filled with brick walls, sleeping mushrooms, wandering enemies, and 2 crucial environmental items: regular brown boulders and a single glowing blue stone. Your objective in every single level is identical: navigate the maze and push the blue stone until it rests perfectly on top of a designated blue platform. However, the physics of the game introduce immediate complexity. While gravity does not affect Flappy himself, allowing him to walk up, down, left, and right across the grid freely, it does affect the stones. If you push a boulder or the blue stone off a ledge, it plunges downward until it hits a solid object. This allows you to stack blocks to climb higher, drop stones into gaps to create makeshift bridges, or crush the enemies patrolling the stage. Adding to the complexity is a strict rule set governing how blocks interact with the grid. Flappy can push blocks in half-width increments. This single design choice elevates the difficulty exponentially. Pushing a block just half a space too far can permanently ruin a level, trapping the blue stone against a wall or making it impossible to maneuver around. Because there is no undo button, a single microscopic miscalculation forces you to forfeit a life and restart the entire room from scratch. When Flappy hits its stride, it delivers the exact dopamine rush that makes the puzzle genre so enduring. The level design frequently forces you to look at a stage and think, this is mechanically impossible. You might see a blue stone completely walled off or a gap that seems too wide to bridge. The fun lies in the reverse engineering of the solution. You must mentally map out the trajectory of every boulder on the screen. If I drop this boulder here, it fills the gap. Then I can walk across it to push the blue stone left. But wait, if I do that, I block my exit. When you finally deduce the exact sequence of pushes, drops, and stacks required to clear a stage, the sense of intellectual triumph is immense. Visually and sonically, the Famicom version is a delight for its era. The sprites are bright, colorful, and full of 1980s character. Flappy himself has charming animations, and the enemies, though annoying, are visually distinct. The presentation is crisp, outclassing the later Game Boy port, which suffered from a cramped viewport that forced the screen to scroll, ruining the single-screen overview essential for planning your moves. Despite its brilliant foundational mechanics, Flappy actively sabotages its own strengths through 2 major design flaws: intrusive enemy AI and an absurdly inflated campaign length. While Flappy wants to be a pure analytical puzzle game, it refuses to let you think in peace. The stages are populated by monsters like Unabo and Ibira who wander the corridors. To defend yourself, you can drop boulders on their heads to crush them, or pick up sleeping mushrooms. Walking into an enemy while holding a mushroom throws it at them, putting them to sleep for a limited time. If you run out of mushrooms or boulders, you are completely defenseless. The problem is that the enemy movement often feels chaotic and intrusive. Trying to execute a highly precise half-pixel block alignment while a pixelated monster is actively charging down your corridor turns a rewarding brain teaser into a stressful chore. It clashes with the spirit of the game. You are punished not because your logic was flawed, but because a wandering sprite happened to corner you while you were trapped in a dead end. Compounding this frustration is the game's staggering length. Flappy features an exhausting 200 levels. In 1985, offering massive amounts of content was a selling point, but here it leads to terminal stagnation. The game introduces its core concepts early on and then fails to introduce meaningful new mechanics or hazards for the remaining duration. Level 150 feels fundamentally similar to level 50, only layout complex and more punishing. The game severely overstays its welcome, stretching a fantastic 40-level concept into a grueling 200-level marathon. Playing Flappy on original hardware today is an exercise in masochism. The controls can feel rigid and unresponsive, particularly when trying to execute precise turn and push maneuvers under duress. Combined with the lack of an undo function and a punishing password system, the game quickly transitions from a fun mental exercise into a test of patience. However, Flappy finds new life in the modern era through emulation. When stripped of its 1980s hardware limitations, the game transforms. The inclusion of save states and rewind functions completely fixes the game's most unforgiving aspect. Being able to instantly undo a mistaken half-space block push allows the player to focus entirely on the logic of the puzzles rather than the flawless execution of the controls. Flappy is a fascinating, deeply clever relic of the 8-bit era. It isn't a masterpiece, but it possesses a distinct charm and a mechanical depth that commands respect. If you choose to tackle its 200 rooms, do not attempt to marathon it, and absolutely do not play it without a modern emulator. In short, casual bursts, it remains a highly rewarding retro challenge.